Well, I found a Band-Aid. Well, one last thing to do for my trailer, for the floor on my trailer, and that's to bolt it all down. So I need to drill the holes and put the bolts in. I've got 6 of those to do. Having some stuff happen here. I don't even know where to start. I just was getting frustrated because that carriage bolt in the corner started to gall up and it's just kind of stuck in there. So we'll see what I can do with it. And then I started to fix this one and that started splitting. That was annoying. And then I cut my finger. I did find a Band-Aid, but it kind of turned into this because I couldn't find a Band-Aid. And then I found the little box of Band-Aids. So now I'm gonna just fix this up a little bit better. Well, I had a bit of an issue. This bolt over here, they're carriage bolts and they're stainless steel, just like this one here. But this one, after I put it in, it galled up and the threads locked up and I couldn't get it any tighter and I couldn't get it off. It's just kind of what happens with stainless steel. So I had to cut it off with my angle grinder, which left some burn marks on the wood. You can kind of see through some of these here. But I have a bunch of stuff in through here. So I'm going to repair it. I'm really bummed about it, but it's not the end of the world because the mattress will be here and it will cover up this whole thing even when it's in a couch, so it will cover it all up. But I made some wood flour and glue mix, and we'll get this sanded down after this cures the rest of the way. That's the bolt I had issues with. So I had to cut the head off of this bolt here, the carriage bolt part. And and then once I got it cut down most of the way, I sent it through, but I didn't have it cut down enough. I just didn't want to burn up the wood anymore. So then once it was through, I had to cut off the other side from underneath with an angle grinder and just get it off. But it's out, and this will be sanded down here in a little bit. That's about as good as I'm going to get it, but I have an idea of what I'm going to do to really cover this up. It's just going to be with paint. Floor is all bolted down, and we are ready to move on to the next part, and that's going to be cutting the cabinets. So there's a lot more to this story of bolting the floor to the frame. I got really frustrated when I was recording all of this, and I just wanted to get it done. So let me show you some of the things that I did as a result of having the bolt gall up and not be able to get it out. So after all, I ended up changing a bunch of different things with the floor. I went to a larger bolt to hold everything down because I needed a larger washer to hold this in better instead of the carriage bolt. So this has a hex head bolt now, a little larger size. I think it's a 3/8 versus the 3/16, and are a little bit longer too, just to make sure that everything hooks in, is connected securely, because that's all that holds on this entire body to the frame. So, and I've also primered the floor, and I will put a gloss black on top of this too. When I welded my frame, I welded these fender support brackets to the bottom, not to the side. Now, when I did that, I didn't realize it at the time, but that warped my frame. You can see there's a gap here. It warped it by about half an inch, 5/8 of an inch. So I needed to make sure that my frame or the platform that the camper would sit on was going to be level, so that way my cabinets wouldn't be off, my hatch wouldn't be off. So I didn't want to straighten the frame because I don't think I could really do that with what I have. So I opted to just put a spacer in between the frame and the bottom of the camper. And that's this plastic block. So it'll definitely have a gap in between here where the concern I have is that things might, like rocks or dust or water or whatever, would get stuck in here. I think the Raptor liner will be strong enough to really keep any corrosion down. But I wanted to make sure I started flat, just resurfaced and started flat after I had this issue here. I also switched from the lock washers to a nylock nut, and there's a washer on this too. These ones held up a lot better, didn't gall up. The one thing I want to make sure of is that I don't get moisture or condensation on the inside through the metal. So I'm planning on plastic dipping this side of it and painting the other side, so that way just moisture stays off of it, because the metal will get cold and wet and it can transfer it right to the inside and just condensate everywhere. So obviously I'm further along in the process than when I'm editing this video, but I was really frustrated with these connection bolts and just the fact that my frame was so warped. I know why now, and I'm sharing that just because of those fender mounts and just welding a lot on the bottom, that it made my frame warp out quite a bit. Very frustrated at that time, so I didn't record much else from it, but I wanted to bring that back into this to help share the story about what happened with my journey on this teardrop camper. It's been a couple of months since that's happened. I've made a lot of progress and I'm really enjoying the rest of the build. But I just wanted to share with you the story about the frustration and overcoming it and getting to the next place in this build. So follow along so you can see the rest of this amazing camper being built, and I hope that it inspires you to build either a camper or something else that you really want to do. See you later.